Hello and welcome back to Life Upgrade with AI. This channel is all about using AI to make your everyday life simpler, calmer, and more organized. I'm using ChatGPT on my computer, but you can follow along with any AI tool, including the app. Today I want to show you how to use AI to make a proper study guide. Not just something you throw together the night before an exam, but a clear, structured study guide you can use throughout a semester or longer learning period. This idea actually comes from real life. My nephew was visiting me and casually mentioned that he had an exam coming up for the following week. When I asked him how his studying was going, he admitted that he hadn't even bought the book yet. As you can imagine, I had a moment of disbelief and then we got to work. We used AI to break the subject down, figure out what actually mattered, and create a simple plan he could follow day by day. It didn't replace studying or reading the official material, but it helped him understand what he was looking at and how everything fit together. He ended up passing the exam, and that experience is actually what gave me the idea for this channel. AI is incredibly good at structure. It helps you organize information, see patterns, and make sense of large subjects. But it's important to remember that AI should support your studying, not replace your textbooks, lectures, or official curriculum. Let's walk through exactly how to create a study guide step by step using AI. Before we start typing prompts, it's helpful to be clear about what we're actually making. A study guide is not just a list of topics. A good study guide helps you understand the structure of the subject, see how topics connect, identify what matters most, and revisit information without feeling overwhelmed. What we're creating today is a living document, something you can return to throughout a semester, add your own notes to, and use both for regular studying and exam review. This works whether you're studying for school, university, professional exams, or even self-learning a topic. The first thing AI does extremely well is breaking down complexity. So we'll start by asking it to organize the subject into clear categories. Here's the first prompt. I'm studying for a course and want to create a clear study guide. The subject is US history. Break this subject down into clear categories and major topics I should focus on. Keep it simple and beginner friendly. When you run this prompt, AI usually gives you a structured overview with clear headings and subtopics. This alone is incredibly powerful. Instead of staring at a long syllabus or a dense textbook, you suddenly have a map. You can see how the subject is divided, what belongs where, and how big each section is. At this stage, it's important to compare what AI gives you with your official material, your course outline, professor's slides, or exam requirements. If something is missing or phrased differently, you can adjust the prompt or clarify. AI works best when you guide it with accurate information. Once you have categories, the next step is prioritization. Not everything is equally important, and knowing where to focus your energy makes studying much more effective. Here's the next prompt. Based on these categories, which topics are usually most important to understand well? Highlight the core concepts and common focus areas. AI often highlights foundational ideas, the ones everything else builds on. These are usually the topics that appear repeatedly in exams, essays, or discussions. This step is especially useful if you're studying over a longer period. It helps you avoid spending too much time on minor details while missing the big picture. Again, this is where your official materials come in. Use AI's suggestions as guidance, but always cross-check with your syllabus or professor's emphasis. Now that we know what to focus on, the next goal is understanding. This is where AI becomes incredibly helpful, especially if the original material feels dense or overly academic. Here's the next prompt. Create simple explanations for each major topic, written in plain language as if you're explaining it to a beginner. This is one of my favorite ways to use AI for studying. It's like asking a very patient tutor to explain things without jargon. As you read through the explanations, you might notice that concepts that felt confusing suddenly make sense. That's because AI is very good at rephrasing ideas in different ways. This does not mean you stop reading your textbook. Instead, you use these explanations as a bridge, something that helps you understand what the textbook is actually saying. Understanding improves dramatically when you can see how something works in practice. So the next step is to ask for examples. Here's the prompt. Add simple examples or real-world explanations to help me better understand each topic. AI might give you everyday examples, short scenarios, or cause and effect explanations. These are incredibly helpful, especially if you learn best by connecting ideas to real situations. This is also a great way to test whether you truly understand a concept. If an example makes sense to you, that's usually a good sign that the idea has clicked. And again, this works best when you compare the examples to what you've learned in class or from your reading. AI is a support tool, you're still the one doing the learning. At this point, we have a lot of useful information, but it's spread across several responses. So now we'll ask AI to turn everything into one clean, readable document. Here's the next prompt. Turn everything we've created so far into a clean, well-structured study guide I can read, save, and use throughout the semester. AI usually organizes the study guide with clear headings, logical sections, short readable paragraphs, a natural progression from basic concepts to more complex one. This is the moment where everything comes together. You now have a study guide that feels approachable rather than intimidating. This is also where you can start adding your own notes. Highlight things your professor emphasizes, add reminders, or rewrite sections in your own words. A good study guide isn't just something you read. It helps you actively study. So next we'll ask AI to add review tools. Here's the next prompt. Based on this study guide, create a short review checklist and 5 to 10 practice questions I can use to test my understanding. AI might create a checklist of things you should be able to explain or define, along with questions that test comprehension rather than memorization. This is incredibly useful for active studying. Instead of rereading the same pages over and over, you can check whether you actually understand the material. Practice questions also help you identify gaps early, so you know what to revisit before exams. Finally, we'll bring everything together into one complete document. Here's the final prompt. Combine the study guide, explanations, examples, review checklist, and practice questions into one simple study guide document I can copy and use. This creates a single resource you can keep returning to. You can update it throughout the semester, ask AI to expand specific sections, or generate new practice questions as you go. Your study guide becomes something that evolves with your learning, not a static document you look at once. And that's it. With just a few thoughtful prompts, you've created a complete study guide using AI, something that normally takes hours of organizing and rewriting. This method works best when you combine AI with your official study materials. Use it to structure, simplify, and support your learning. But always fact-check and align it with what your course actually requires. If you found this helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. I share simple, everyday ways to use AI to make life easier, from studying and planning to creativity and long-term projects. Thank you for watching and good luck with your studies.